Hello and welcome, dear listener, to The Swamp. It is a podcast, it is our podcast, and it is an acronym.
Stands for some whack-ass movie podcasting.
And the premise of this show, if you are unfamiliar, is that my classically trained in film co-host Emily will watch the original version of a renowned film, and I, her idiot friend, will watch the remake, and we will just discuss with little middle ground about the comparisons, because neither of us have seen the movie the other is talking about.
We've restructured the podcast this week.
Needless to say, I said Jumanji, and I just assumed Emily knew that I was talking about Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, the 2017 remake.
Well, I feel like it's, okay, this is no one's fault, but it's both of our fault. Because I should have known, because you've talked to me at length about how this is like a sleeper film, and like how underrated it is, and how much you love Jack Black in it. But I was just like, oh, we're just going classic.
Yeah, and like in both of our defense, the list I sent to you said Jumanji parentheses any question mark, which like is really up for interpretation.
Yeah.
But so this week, my intention was that we were going to talk about Jack Black's riveting performance as Bethany, the teenage girl in Jumanji, the 2017 remake, Welcome to the Jungle. And Emily has watched the original, and I was truly about to get on this call and say to Emily, like, hey, I've never seen old Jumanji, but I watched like a 5-minute YouTube like recap video, and like, will you play into my lie that I've seen it, but it's just like been a while, because I was gonna like do some comparisons, and I was truly gonna try to dupe you all and act like I had seen old Jumanji, but I have to come clean. I've never seen the 1995 movie Jumanji.
That's just so crazy to me, because this was like one of those movies, this was like staple of my childhood. Like, I watched Jumanji probably like once a month, like at daycare kind of thing. So
that's wild.
Yeah, and it sucks that you haven't seen it, because it's Robin Williams, so good. Tiny little baby Kirsten Dunst. And there's so much good practical effects. Not good, but like 1995 practical effects that I feel like you would appreciate so hard, dude.
So I really do like the book it's based off of. So for those who don't know, a fact about me is that I worked in the children's room of a library, my local library, like all through high school and college. And I like, did all the crafts for the kids, and I also like sorted the books and all of that. So I'm pretty like well versed. I'm pretty well.
You dressed up as what is it? Llama red pajama.
I do have on my resume mascot experience, because I did wear a llama red pajama full ass mascot outfit. Like, damn if I don't get credit for that. Like, it was hard.
And you're not a kids person.
I don't like kids, but I like crafts and I like picture books. So like it's, but the children's book, Chris Van Allsburg, he wrote the kids book Jumanji. It's just a picture book, but he also, you might know, he wrote the Polar Express. That is like a much more popular. I think a lot of people don't know that Jumanji is a kid's book, but the Polar Express, and he also wrote Zathura, which a lot of people like talk about the movie Zathura as being like a Jumanji ripoff, but it's literally just like the same guy wrote like sort of 2 iterations of the same concept as kids books. But his the art in his books is immaculate. He's won the Caldecott award, which is like the award for kids books with really good pictures. Because I feel like if you think about like the Polar Express, like the pictures on that, like that sort of like pencil drawing style is very that for Jumanji as well. So I've literally read the primary text, but I have not seen the 1995 Robin Williams film.
Is it the same though? Is the, from what you know of the film, is it pretty like
it's much closer. I mean, it's a kid's book, so it's way dumbed down. There isn't all the stuff about like orphans and like time travel as much, but it is more about like the game comes to their home rather than in what I watched, the 2017 remake, is that the kids go into the game. So it's like sort of 2 sides of the same concept. But yeah, it's more like all the wild animals, spurt out of the game and come into their house. It's like the vibe.
Yeah, that's basically it.
So yeah, why don't we start it off where you tell me a Jumanji virgin?
Yeah, I'll give you.
Just give me a little rundown.
Okay, so basically, movie opens up. It's 1893 or something like that, and you're watching like these old like pilgrim ass people bury this game in the dirt, and they're like, God help the person that ever digs this up, kind of thing. So we're like, okay, sinister. A flash forward to 1963, I think it is, and you see this little boy Alan. His family is like the big wealthy people in town. They own like a shoe store, like a shoe factory and everything like that. And he's having a tough time with his relationship with his father. He's getting bullied, but his father is doing construction on the land that his shoe factory is on, and he ends up like basically pulling this game out of the dirt, and being like, oh shit, dope, I'm gonna check this out. So what ends up happening is he brings it home. Him and his friend Sarah start playing it, and he essentially gets sucked into the game.
Which I do know from the 5-minute recap that I watched that it's like he rolled a thing that the little like magic 8-ball in the middle said like that you like are like in jail basically, like Monopoly, and until somebody else,
until someone rolls a 5 or an 8.
I'm not gonna victim blame here, but homegirl Sarah gets met with a challenge and just flees the scene. Doesn't even try to roll the dice.
Yeah. Alan is screaming at her as he's being sucked into a board game to keep rolling. She gets attacked by bats, never to return. So what ends up happening is Alan gets stuck in the board game for 26 years. His parents, like, die. They move away. They're crushed. The giant, like, beautiful mansion that they live in falls into disrepair. And it gets bought by this woman and her, adopted children, who are her brother and sister-in-laws, Kirsten Dunst, and I don't know who the other little actor boy is. But so essentially they find the game in the attic and they start playing it. Like wasps start coming out, fucking with them. There's a lion at one point, and then out of nowhere comes Robin Williams in like a loincloth and like banana leaves.
Because they rolled a fucking 8. All that bitch had to do after all this time to save our mans from the fucking jungle.
Just roll an 8. But so he comes back out. He's kind of gets reacquainted with the world. He's like, what the fuck? I've been gone for 26 years? No, I was a child, kind of thing. There's a lot of back and forth of like, oh, well, he has to still play the game. Like, you can't stop the game until like someone wins. You know what I mean? Everything will like go back to like being fine afterwards. But
it's like the Hunger Games.
Exactly. It needs to be played through. So they finally convince Alan. They're like, please, you have to play this with us or it'll never stop. And then Alan's like, ugh, fine, but we have to go find Sarah now. Who Sarah has become like, she's like, was like, I needed thousands and thousands of dollars of therapy after what happened. I don't want to do this. Like, you could tell she's like unstable. But essentially they end up playing the game through. They're getting, as they roll through it, like new challenges, new animals show up. There's like flooding and earthquakes and this old safari guy that is literally just trying to shoot Robin Williams in the face the entire time. And basically they end up finishing the game. Everything goes back to like 1963. Like time is sort of brought back to where it was when Alan and Sarah first started playing the game. And it's very like happy ending kind of deal. They throw away the game and then that's it. And then like years later they come in contact with the actual kids that they were with.
Because this is gonna tie back to my movie. It's like the weird time travel element of which he finishes the game, but he gets to go back and return to his child body, but like with the memories.
Yeah.
Like, so but then gets to age, and that's why, like, he knows to, like, save those kids' parents from their fucking ski accident or whatever. Yeah. It's, like some weird, like, time loop, alternative timeline shit.
Yeah.
which is like too much to get into all of that. But
yeah, but tell me about your game or your movie.
So imagine this, is that they're gonna make Jumanji, but it needs to be hot. It needs to be a blockbuster. It needs to have $100 million budget, and it needs to hit with the sort of like action movie goer audience of 2017. So obviously, we got to get in there and we got to reform, because nobody plays board games. So the situation is that, you know how at the end of Jumanji, it's like on the beach. The board game is like on the beach. So it shows, it picks up right from there. It's on the beach, and this guy's like running on the beach. He finds the board game and he picks it up and he brings it home and he gives it to his son. And it's like the 90s, and he's like a metalhead, and he's like, this is stupid. And he like throws it to the side. He plays his video games because he's so cool. And so the board game, because it's so magical and terrific, transforms itself into like a video game cartridge, like a fucking Nintendo.
Hate that.
And so it's a video game now. And he's like, fine, I'll bite. And then we cut to the present day. So, you know, time has passed. And then we get a whole Breakfast Club situation now. So it's modern day, and Alex Wolff of Hereditary / Naked Brothers Band fame. He is our protagonist. His name is Spencer, and he is kind of, he's dorky, and he's like doing the football player's homework because he wants to be cool, but he's like dorky. And so he gets detention because they find out that he's doing this kid's homework, and his friend's name is Fridge. And so Fridge is his friend, and he gets detention too. And then this girl, Martha, she's kind of awkward, and she's like the sort of geeky girl, and she is in gym class, and Missy Pyle, their gym teacher, who's the fucking, the mom.
Shut up.
She's Violet Beauregard's mom from fucking Charlie and the Chocolate Factory in her cunty little tracksuit. She shows up once again in a cunty little tracksuit, and she's like, I'm the gym teacher. And this girl, this stupid teenage girl, is like, I don't understand why we have to do gym. I'm not going to get into Princeton by playing basketball. Which is like, you probably have a better shot that way, my girl, but she's like, you get detention for being rude to the gym teacher. So she gets detention. And then we have Bethany, who she's the very vapid Instagram popular girl. And she's like taking pictures of herself, like hashtag no filter, you know, very cliche. It was almost like a little too dated of the cliches even for 2017 of the like hashtag no filter, hashtag just woke up. I'm like, we still were not doing that shit in 2017. Like that's like 2012 energy.
Yeah.
But so she's like on FaceTime, like in the middle of her fucking history lecture. And the teacher's like, are you fucking stupid? Get off your phone. Detention. Yeah. So these 4 unlikely friends get put in detention, and they have to like sort through like magazines or something in like the basement of the school. And they find the video game, and they're like, let's take a break. Let's play the video game. So they plug it in, and they each have to pick their little character from the menu. And the first character that they see is already taken. So nobody can click it because, spoiler, that's like what the kid from the 90s picked. Because he's still in there. And
okay, gotcha.
So they each pick their little character, and then they get zapped into Jumanji, which is just like this jungle, and they're all like, oh my god, we're in different bodies now. So basically, Spencer, who's Alex Wolff, becomes Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And he's like the strong guy. And Fridge, who's the football player, he becomes Kevin Hart. So he's like, I'm short now. And his character is like a fucking zoologist. So he's supposed to be like the smart guy. And he's very upset that, you know, he's not the big strong guy. So he's like, this is tough. And then Martha, who's like the geeky girl, just becomes an older, hotter version of herself. And she becomes Karen Gillan, who's like basically supposed to be like Lara Croft, like Tomb Raider vibes. Like, I'm in a little skimpy outfit, and I'm going to roundhouse kick men in the balls. Like, that's her whole vibe. And then Bethany, hilariously, becomes Jack Black.
Nice. Which
the character's name is Dr. Shelley something. So she's like, Shelley, a girl, but it's like Sheldon. So it's like, so funny. And so basically we do get the brilliant performance of Jack Black being like this like vapid teenage girl learning to be in like a Jack Black body. And there's like a weird amount of penis humor of her being like, I need somebody to help me pee. And like, like her getting a boner and being like, I don't know what to do, which is Jack Black doing all of this. So it's so good. It's all
this does make me want to watch it.
But it's all incredibly one note because it is still like an action movie for the common like Marvel loving audience, which no hate to it, and I still got a fucking kick out of it, but it's very like every joke is like we're just really gonna harp on these stereotypes that like the geeky kid is in The Rock's body and the big kid is in Kevin Hart's body and you know the pretty girl is Jack Black. Like it's very like, oh, we're gonna just do that joke over and over, but like I honestly didn't care because Jack Black was just serving it to me. Like Jack Black being like, yes, Queen Slay. Like that just like really fucking like sent me.
Yeah, just tickled.
But basically, they have to do like a whole action adventure sequence, like through like their quote unquote video game. They have lives. They have 3 lives. You know, they can die, but they'll come back, but they only have 3 lives. And eventually, they bump into who else but Nick Jonas. Obviously. And Nick Jonas is like, oh, thank God you guys are here. I haven't been able to complete the mission on my own because, you know, you need everyone's like specialized skill sets to their mission is that they have to like return a gem to like a fucking statue or something, but there's obviously like a bad guy who like wants to intercept them or whatever. But so Nick Jonas is like, oh, thank God you guys are here. But then he starts using some like outdated lingo and they're like, oh, like what year do you think it is? And he's like 1996, bro. And they're like, oh, fuck. Like, how did we tell you that 20 years have passed? And then they go through the highs and lows of, you know, they drop the gem, they lose it, they go find it, oh, a stampede of rhinos, oh, we've got to climb a mountain, all this like fucking, you know, adventure movie bullshit, all while being such a quirky cast of characters. And they eventually, at one point, I guess to note, Jack Black, aka Bethany, saves Nick Jonas's life. Like his weakness, they all have like a strength and a weakness, and his weakness is mosquito. His strength is that he can fly a plane and that he can make margaritas, but his weakness is mosquitoes. So he like gets bit by a mosquito and he just fucking dies. But she like does mouth to mouth, but like it's Jack Black giving Nick Jonas mouth to mouth, and like revives him with one of her lives. And then she gets a boner because like
it's Nick Jonas.
Because it's Nick Jonas.
Yeah.
And then, you know, they accomplish the mission. They all get to go back home. But specifically the kid who's playing, the kid who's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, he has a crush on the girl who's Karen Gillan. And he like tells her while they're like in their hot bodies. But he's like, do you want to like stay here with me? And we could be like hot and cool in Jumanji forever. And she's like, no, we can be hot and cool like in real life. Like we can take this confidence with us in real life. And he's like, ugh. I don't really like that. But he goes with her anyways. And then in real life, he's like, I'm awkward. I'm Nat Wolf. Or Alex Wolf. Yeah. And like, oh, this is being a teenager is so hard. But then they're all like, where's Nick Jonas? And it turns out that in a similar time loop situation, Nick Jonas's character returned to his origin point of 1996. So then he like lives through his life and then they go to his house, which was like formerly all dilapidated. But when they go to it, it's like a lovely bustling household during Christmas time. And they see him, Colin Hanks.
Oh my God, okay.
Why? They call jump scare Colin Hanks playing older Nick Jonas. But I mean, I guess Nick Jonas was just like the video game avatar, but like still so funny. And so they like meet up with him and he's like, oh my God, it must be you guys. And he's like, I named my daughter Bethany after the girl who saved my life. And like the whole time this like teenage girl is like giving Colin Hanks fuck me eyes. It's so weird. Oh my
God.
And then the movie ends with them presumably all being best friends now, even though they have nothing in common.
That sounds so weird.
Don't even get me started on the second movie, because that one is about, like, Danny DeVito and fucking Donald Glover, like, being diagnosed with cancer and going into Jumanji to, like, become fucking Pegasuses. Like, it's so weird.
What? Yeah, no, as much as you're really selling me on the Jack Black thing, but I do think that the original is probably gonna stay my favorite.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably, even though I've never seen it, I'll agree with you on that. It's one of those that I consider this remake to be sort of my baseline for like the bare minimum of a remake or a sequel or whatever in today's day and age of filmmaking, to be that it's like, if it's worse than Jumanji, then you have failed. But if it's good or better than Jumanji, then you have succeeded. And very few do of these like modern day, like mostly 80s like remakes that just don't make a ton of sense. Because they do it in a way where they change it enough that it's not note for note. I think they got a lot of good actors with good chemistry. And it made sense to me when I figured out that the writers of this movie are the same ones who did all the Tom Holland Spider-Mans, where it's like still has that hokey, marvel-y, like, I'm saying a joke and it's quippy kind of line, but it's like I do hate those ones less than I hate the other like Marvel movies. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if maybe I just have an affinity for Tom Holland, but I feel
probably
like those movies are just like a little less insufferable, which is maybe like, I also feel like Jumanji is a little less insufferable than your average, like, $100 million blockbuster.
Yeah. It's like this or Uncharted.
Right. Which, speaking of Tom Holland, though, it made sense to me when I found out that these writers were also the like, whatever, Far From Home, No Way Home writers, because Tom Holland was supposed to be the Nick Jonas character.
That makes total sense.
But there was, like, overlap with his fucking Spider-Man shit or whatever, so they're like, oh, like, scrap it, we'll just get Nick Jonas, like, you know, good enough.
How was Nick Jonas acting-wise?
I mean, he didn't have a lot to do. He just kind of had to be him, like, there. So he didn't really... His challenge was low. And he was fine, but I certainly would not put him in anything where he had to do any sort of lifting. That's for fucking sure.
See, that's my thing. I think my favorite performance, which it's hard to say because I love Robin Williams in the original one. I think he was great. It's classic Robin Williams. But little baby Kirsten Dunst is so good and so funny. And because like her thing is they're both of the kids are like dealing with like the death of their parents and like whatever way they will. Like the little boy hasn't spoken for like a year and a half, and like Kirsten Dunst, whenever anyone asks her about like what happened or they start talking about what happened, she'll just lie and come up with a new like really strange way that they died. And everything like that.
That's kind of slay, because if you're
so slay.
If you're like asking a 10-year-old about their dead parents, you deserve to be lied to.
Yeah, no, she was very slay in this. I loved it, and I had no remembrance of or recollection that it was her in this. So
I feel like it doesn't surprise me that she was a child actress, but also if you had asked me beforehand what her earliest movie was, I might have guessed like Bring It On. Or like
I would have said like The Virgin Suicides.
Yeah, like something from like the like early 2000s. I didn't realize that she was like full on child acting.
Yeah, no, she was good though. I liked it. Yeah, and it's Robin Williams in like the 90s is classic. Like it's not going to be bad.
Was he doing his whole like get up?
Less than like normal, less than like Mrs. Doubtfire. You know what I mean? Which I kind of liked. Like, he actually, not that he had, like, a serious role, but, like, he had to portray more emotions than just being, like, silly and goofy.
See, because I feel like my version was very much supposed to be, like, kind of, not a slapstick comedy, but very, like, punchy dialogue that isn't actually funny, but we're doing jokes. Like, oh, Kevin Hart's character can't eat cake. And he eats a piece of cake and then he explodes, like that kind of humor. Whereas I feel like were they doing the like Robin Williams is like on his shit, or like was it like less funny and more? Because I feel like the premise of that one is a little more serious. They're like the house is flooding, like we don't have time for jokes.
Yeah, no, it is like it. Watching it as a kid did make you like experience stress for like the first time. Like, you're sitting there and you're about to watch a child get devoured by an alligator. And, like, Robin Williams at one point, like, gets sucked into the floorboards because, like, quicksand.
Also, isn't there, like, a subplot where, like, the younger brother starts turning into a monkey?
Yes. Yeah. He tries to cheat in the game. And then the game is like, no, no, no.
We're gonna turn you into a...
We're gonna turn you into a primate. Yeah. So it definitely has like its own like little jokes and everything like that. But yeah, not very slapstick comedy. I'd just call it like a good movie. Like it like I was thinking about it a lot when I was watching it, about how it's a very original plot, which I always really liked. Yeah, like a board game coming to life. And it's that perfect 90s movie where most of the effects are practical, but then you have like the janky ass monkeys and like mosquitoes like coming out and looking like fuck ass CGI.
I love me some fuck ass 90s CGI.
Yeah, you'll like this then. I would highly recommend you this movie.
Like, I want it to be crunchy.
It's very crunchy.
Unrendered and crunchy.
Yeah. It's also one thing I really loved about it. It's just like how 90s it was, because there were so many guns in this movie. Like, the amount of times bitches were getting shot at, nearly dying, they gave monkeys guns. Like, it was insane. I was like, they would never in a million years do this today. Like, it's very much like, in my head, the way that, like, Apple used to have the gun emoji, and now it's, like, the water gun emoji. Yeah.
Yeah, that has changed the course of a lot of my text messages. Is the omission of the gun emoji. But it's funny you bring that up, because now that I think of it, I think the only person who, like, really dies explicitly, like, there are obviously, like, henchmen who have, like, rifles, but the only person who ever, like, explicitly dies on camera is one of the bad guy, who's played by, he was like, I don't know his name, but it's something super Italian, and he was not John Leguizamo, but the other sous chef in the movie Chef, the one who's like kind of a scab and takes over the restaurant after Jon Favreau quits. Do you know what I'm talking about? He's just like a kind of generic Italian guy, but he's like kind of hot. I don't know. But he plays the bad guy, who's like pretty nondescript and doesn't really have an arc, but he like brings one of his henchmen in who's like done him wrong or whatever, and like a scorpion crawls out of his mouth and onto this guy and like kills him. But it's funny you bring it up, because there are people who carry guns, but nobody ever like uses a gun.
Yeah. No, there was a lot of like bitches were getting shot at. Like, there's like the scene where they win the game. Basically, there's like a whole like split second where the hunter guy that's been trying to kill Robin Williams the entire time, like, fires a bullet and it like stops right at the back of their, like, an inch from it, like, their face, because everyone starts to get pulled back into the game, kind of thing.
That's kind of cunty.
It's very cunty.
Oh my god, who is it but Jen to do her interim podcast segment, Chocolate or Vanilla. She's gonna say two things, we're all gonna say which one we like better. Jen, hi, how are you?
Hi, but is it original Jen or remake Jen?
Jen, fuck off. You know, we all make mistakes.
Yes, we do. Including me. I make them daily.
But Jen, is there a theme this week?
There is a double theme. It is silly words and classic video games.
Dope.
Okay. Swag. We love it.
Okay. Because Jumanji's a silly word and a classic video game. Get it?
Ha ha ha. If you watch the remake, if you watch the 2017 Jumanji remake.
I feel like it was like, oh my god, I was debating on like texting you and just being like, we're watching the old one, right? But I was like, no, like, I think I was very convinced that I was like, had it right.
Where was I in 1995 and where was I in 2017? That's the question.
Oh my god.
You guys were not born.
No.
Fuck.
Not a twinkle in your eye.
Yeah. Chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Vanilla.
Chocolate. Chocolate, vanilla, or strawberry?
Chocolate.
Vanilla.
Chocolate. First one, Tetris or Frogger?
Ooh, I love me some Tetris.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've always been a big Tetris person.
Yeah, I agree. Tetris is like, what's the word? Like, when you could just keep watching it. It's mesmerizing.
Like aesthetically. And also, like, that feeling when you get the long, skinny one. Oh, and it gets into the part that you need the long, skinny one for. Oh.
Next one is baklava or fluffernutter.
Baklava is just not English. But I would say if we're talking about, like, fundamentally, baklava is, like, an S-tier dessert. If you, like, Henry has, like, a Greek grandma or, like, a Greek aunt or something who makes, like, fucking bomb-ass baklava, and, like, the once a year I fucking get to eat it. I, like, hoard it. Actually. I, like, hoard it into my bag that I'm, like, they're like, why are there no leftovers? I'm like, because they're in my tote bag.
It was so good. It was crazy good.
Baklava is one of those things that, like, once I started being an adult and I, like, tried it for the first time, I was like, oh, this is different.
Oh, I have a refined palate now.
Exactly.
We can get into the phyllo dough-based pastries.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say baklava.
Alright, I'll go baklava too, although a fluffernutter is good stuff, not gonna lie. Next one, asteroids or Space Invaders?
Oh, I don't know if I've ever played Asteroids. Is Space Invaders like Galaga?
Space Invaders is the one where they, like, come down. And you have to, like, shoot them out before they come down.
That's definitely Galaga.
And then Asteroid is, like, it's a triangle in the middle, and he's spinning, and he's shooting stuff that's coming in from the side.
Oh, absolutely not. Definitely the moving down, or whichever one is the moving
Space
down
Invaders.
One. Space Invaders.
Space Invaders, yeah. Absolutely. My mom was, like, insane. Like, whenever, like, we were young and, like, we found ourselves, like, at an arcade, like, Jean wouldn't, like, just sit there and, like, hang out, like how, like, normal parents would at, like, a Chuck E. Cheese or some shit. She was in it playing Galaga. She was putting her name on the board.
That's so awesome. Yeah, Space Invaders was, like, a straight-up joystick. You just went left and right, and that was it. Next one is Ka-Chow or Cowabunga?
Ka-Chow! Whose signature catchphrase is Cowabunga? Is that like Bart Simpson?
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, love that. No, I'm definitely gonna go for Ka-Chow.
Yeah,
I think legend Owen Wilson.
Yeah, I think the impact of Ka-Chow has been far greater than Cowabunga.
I will go Ka-Chow also. I agree with both you guys. Next one, Pac-Man or Super Mario?
So I'm gonna take the feminist approach. I'm gonna alter the options, and I will say Miss Pac-Man. It's no different than Pac-Man, but she wears a bow, and I don't know why the only machines that were ever, like, made readily available to me were always Miss Pac-Man machines. Like, I don't know if they, like, revamped them all in the late 90s, and, like, that's why they were all, like, Miss Pac-Man. But that was my, like, I'm at the arcade, and everyone's fucking around, and I'm parking at Miss Pac-Man.
I can see that for you.
There.
Yeah, I could see you being, like, really aggressively good at that. I'm a feminist, so I only play Miss Pac-Man. I'm gonna also jump on Miss Pac-Man.
I will go Miss Pac-Man also. Next one is lollygag or fidget?
Ooh, I feel like the word fidget has been, like, it's been overused to the point that it's, like, maybe lost all meaning in recent years because of, like, fidget toys. I feel like it's such a common, like, expression about, like, being fidgety. What was my other choice, though? Lollygag? I love a lollygag. Ooh, what an insult. You out here lollygagging? If somebody shows up late to the function, be like, oh, we got a lollygagger.
That is a slacker.
I like a lollygag.
Yeah, I think lollygag has a more impact these days.
I'll go lollygag, too. Next one is Galaga or Pong?
See, I feel like Galaga, I didn't know the other space games you were talking about, but I
know Galaga.
All of the Miss Pac-Man machines dueled as Galaga machines. They were Miss Pac-Man / Galaga, and those were the 2 in 1. So.
And the best ones were the ones that are shaped like a table. Like, you sit at it.
No, absolutely not. No,
I like that.
The stand-up ones, and there's a stool, but you kick the stool aside and you hunch over.
Yeah.
Because that's how intense you are.
Your fingers are cramping.
I'll pick Galaga for sure.
Yeah, I'll go with Galaga as well.
I'll go Galaga also. Next one is Whippersnapper or Gobbledygook?
Oh!
Ooh, Gobbledygook. I like that. What is even, the dictionary definition of gobbledygook.
It's like stuff, right?
Like random stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm also gonna go gobbledygook. That's just like way more fun to say.
And I will go gobbledygook too. Next one is Pokemon Diamond or Pokemon Go.
Oh, so Pokemon Diamond and Pearl were the first Pokemons that came out when my brother and I got like our first DSs. Like our first, like, you know, we had like Game Boy Colors, but the DS was a big deal because it was like, you know, more high tech. So Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. I would say Pokemon Go was really like a lightning in a bottle moment in time that I definitely was one of the like millions of people who was just like, why am I so enthralled with this? Like, why am I walking around a church, like, graveyard trying to catch a fucking Charmander? Like, made no sense. But I'm gonna say that, what did you say, Diamond or Pearl? Diamond, right?
I said Diamond.
That was, like, the first, like, DS Pokemon game that I had that I definitely, like, I feel like that was the one with, like, Piplup, because I always picked the water type, because I was a water bitch. And, like, the show at the time, I was, like, kind of just old enough to, like, understand the show better too, and like the characters in the show like corresponded. You know, you had Dawn with her Piplup, which I very felt like was very me. So I'll have to go with that. But overall, my favorite Pokemon game ever is Pokemon Sapphire. But that's another.
I was never really into Pokemon growing up at all. Like I had the cards, but like that was I hardly ever played on like a Game Boy or a DS. But I did get into Pokemon Go for like that one summer. So I'll go with that.
What team were you? Were you red, blue, or yellow?
Blue.
Literally, like, don't even talk to me.
Why?
Because we had, like, turf wars going around town, and me and my gang, we were red. And it was big blue against red. Yellow didn't really have a ground to stand on around these parts, so yellow wasn't really big competition. But it was very...
Yellow was like the Hufflepuff.
Yeah, it was very, like, I'm not going to compare it to actual gang rivalries because that is just not appropriate. But we were, like, shaking people's cars and being like, get out of here. Like we're going to run you out of this gym, so you better just leave.
Oh my god.
That's actually really bad. Were your friends on the other team?
I mean, they were, like, kids we went to high school with, but, like...
Yeah.
That's so fucking goofy.
I will go with Pokemon Diamond, but I think the best part of Pokemon was just playing straight up with the cards. Next one is Schnockered or Skedaddle.
Ooh, skedaddle. Ooh, that's such like a white person phrase. Like, ooh, we got a skedaddle.
Yeah. Uh-huh. That is...
Let's rock and roll. Guys, we got a skedaddle.
Yeah, we got a skedaddle. I gotta go skedaddle on this one.
I'm definitely gonna go skedaddle and RIP to my dad because that was a word he would use on the regular.
Oh.
Let's see. Next one is Donkey Kong, Mario Kart, or Super Smash Bros.
Oh, I love me some Super Smash Bros. I like Mario Kart, but I'm bad at it. But I kind of like that I'm bad at it. But Super Smash Bros. I'm also not great, but Henry, like, dojo trained me for a long time. He is, like, he can kick anyone's ass at Super Smash, and so he's dojo trained me that I can, like, hold my own against, like, his brothers and stuff. Like, I'm still not, like, I don't consistently kick ass, but I'll beat him, like, you know, 1 out of every 10 times, which is, like, wild.
I know Henry would pick, like, the littlest character, and he'd play, like, with one hand, you know, while he was
Trash.
doing something else. Yeah, and you're like, he still beat us all.
I never really got into Smash Bros, but I did. I feel like if you had more than, like, one sibling, maybe not, maybe this is just me talking from my experience, but, like, the 3-person game of Mario Kart was, like, the peak of my childhood.
Yeah, I love some Super Smash Bros, but I actually, now that you say that, I have some fond Mario Kart memories at some good times.
On the Wii with the handle, the steering wheel that you put the Wii remote into, that shit went hard.
See, hot take is I always liked the nunchuck with it.
That is a hot take.
I felt like I had more control.
Drifting.
Yeah.
More control in the Rainbow Mall.
Oh my god.
Last one is Hullabaloo
Oof.
or Bamboozled.
Ooh, I am bamboozled. It's got those. You're pitting two queens against each other
real.
here, but I'm gonna say like I am befuddled. I am bamboozled. I am all bonked up. I love me some bamboozleification.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I gotta go bamboozled on this one. But the name Hullabaloo just brought back, like, I don't know if you ever played that game as a kid, Dara. Do you know about the game Hullabaloo? I just brought memories flooding back.
What is that?
I forget. Like, I couldn't even explain it to you if I wanted to because I played it when I was, like, 5 and I don't remember it, but I just remember, like, shapes and colors from it and the name.
I will go with bamboozled also. I'm looking up Hullabaloo because you're right.
Right? Like, I have no idea what it was, but it...
Oh, it was like Twister.
Yeah.
It was definitely like Twister, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, do I remember all those cranium games?
Yes,
Yeah,
I remember
it was a
cranium.
game.
To this day, I will rock some cranium at the function.
Nice.
The clay, the doing charades with clay after 6 White Claws.
Yep.
Very fun. But as always, Jen, thank you so much for
Thank you guys.
putting
Thanks
some
for
silly
having me.
words in our head and making us think about some old video games, even though I should have watched the right movie.
I should have watched the right movie.
It should have been a board game week, but we love that you're here. Thank you so much for your glorious return, and we'll see you next week.
All right, this is going to be a fun one to listen to. I love you guys. Have an awesome night.
Right, love you too. Bye.
Bye.
I feel like I know the answer to this already, but have you watched the show Our Flag Means Death? The Taika Waititi show?
No, I've heard really good things about it, but like it's like shows like that, like I know I might like them. Like I've seen what is it? The other one that's based off of Taika Waititi. What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, okay, yep.
So, like I've watched a bit of that, but like shows like Our Flag Means Death or like The Righteous Gemstones kind of fall into the same category in my brain, and I haven't watched any of them.
I can kind of see that, but if you're gay and like pirates, I would say it's definitely for you. But just one of the Taika Waititi's main like homosexual love interest. He just plays like an NPC in this Jumanji movie that he like
Really?
A good bit that I think is funny that they really keep up with is that everyone who's not them in the game is an NPC and only has like a certain number of dialogue lines. So they'll like walk up to somebody and ask them a question and they like don't have an answer, so they'll just be like, "Welcome to Jumanji." Because they're like all NPCs, but he plays like the intro NPC who like gives you the background info, and they're like trying to ask him questions, but he's just like, I'm only have my 3 lines of dialogue that I can tell you. Oh, what is his name? I don't know, but he's in that show, which that was one that I just like binged in like 3 days because I was just like,
It's that good?
It was, I mean, I liked it. I wouldn't say it's like spectacular, but it's like a fun pirate comedy show that everyone's like a little bit like non-binary or gay, so it's got that fun like twist to it. The costumes are cute.
I feel like it was like around like COVID-y times it was still like really popping off, and like I feel like it just got lost in the flow of shows for me.
Taika Waititi is like actively getting canceled, and I don't really know enough about it to like give you guys the full report, but like definitely do your own research. But he has this movie coming out that's about like a soccer team.
I know this, yeah.
Yeah, and and I guess there's like a super transphobic like subplot that like either got cut or like had to be cut because testing audiences were like, this is not okay, which is like an incredibly transphobic like subplot that it was like not done in a way that was like even tasteful or like a little bit self-aware. I don't know enough about it to really say, but I feel like on Twitter, people are popping off being like, the downfall of Taika Waititi will be studied, because like him going from just like a place where I guess like film Twitter like really revered him to like now people are actively like, fuck that guy, don't go fucking see that movie. It's really it's quite interesting. It's happening like basically in real time, I would say. So if you're interested in seeing what Taika Waititi's up to, I think he's going down the drain.
I'll have to look into that. That's interesting. Yeah, I remember seeing the trailer for that movie, and I think it's based on a true story or something like that, and it's very like, I think he's like, I don't know, is he from New Zealand?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like like a native New Zealand like soccer team or some shit like that.
No, I feel like they're from like the Congo or like Ghana.
I have no idea. I don't think so, but I don't know.
I also just know Elizabeth Moss is in it, and she's like a jump scare to me.
Why the fuck is Elizabeth Moss in it?
I don't know. She plays like a soccer coach or something. I don't fucking know.
I watched a movie of hers for the first time the other day called The Invisible Man.
Where her husband is like invisible and out to kill her, and she's like, nobody believes me.
Yeah, have you seen it?
No, but I remember seeing the trailers and being like, what are they on these days?
It actually wasn't bad. It was a pretty good movie, but like, I feel like Elizabeth Moss is one of those actresses that like, I can only give her credit for like The Handmaid's Tale. You know what I mean?
She slays in Mad Men.
She does slay in Mad Men. I forget she's in Mad Men. But, like, yeah, I don't know. It's just, like, now seeing her in a movie, because I feel like she's so pigeonholed in that show, that I'm like...
I was gonna say she's pigeonholed into fucking being a Scientologist, because
that
she
too.
is a Scientologist. I'm like, how are you in this, like, you know, pro, like, women's rights, so aggressive, like, TV show, and not have, like, the self-awareness to be, like, this, like... quasi-religious power structure I'm participating in is like fucked up. I don't.
Well, you just don't have morals. So.
Yeah, true. She also was married to Fred Armisen for a long time, which always like fucks me up.
So weird.
To like
so
think about.
Fucking strange. Ugh. Yeah.
Not to like. We're just gonna talk about other stuff at this point because neither of us watched the other person's movie. But another trailer I saw that was kind of like tickling me was the movie that's gonna be about the GameStop like stock exchange thing starring Paul Dano.
Yeah.
I can't tell if I think it looks good or dog shit. Like I think I'll go see it. Like I think I'm gonna go see it, but I think like I think I'm gonna give it like an 80% chance that it's like actual dog shit.
Yeah. I think it's probably just the character that Paul Dano is portraying is gonna make me livid. And that's the other thing is because his character is like the protagonist and everything like that. Good, fine, whatever. And like also, of course, like on the other side of it is Seth Rogen, who plays a dog shit character who's like making money off of people's misfortunes and everything like that. It just seems like every character in that movie I'm gonna hate.
You know what I mean? It could either come off like, I don't know if The Big Short is a good example, or like The Wolf of Wall Street is a good example of just like those type of finance bro movies that end up being like weirdly self-aware or like weirdly like, you know, all the characters are, you know, despicable, but it's like we as an audience kind of get to revel in their like downfall or whatever. I don't know if it's going to be like that or if it's going to be like a pro like finance bro movie. Like I really can't tell.
Because like it's just one of those topics that I'm like, I'm not sure that movie needed to be made. Like I know it happened and like it was like a 2-week stint kind of thing, but I'm like, I don't know that this was like something interesting enough for you to create an entire film out of it. Also, Shailene Woodley playing Paul Dano's wife really freaks me out for some reason.
Right? Yeah, that
I
also
don't like that.
So odd to me.
I don't like it.
I don't know why that feels like jarringly odd to me, but I remember I was with my friend Kevin and we grasped each other and he said, "Secret Life of the American Teenager?" I was like, yes. But like also I was just like shook to see her pop up like that. I don't know.
I would be really interested in seeing Seth Rogen's performance as like someone like quote unquote like evil, like the bad guy in the movie kind of thing. Because I feel like he's never really that. So beyond that, I don't give a fuck.
I feel like I heard that they were making it, but it was the first time I saw that trailer in the movies the other day, and I was like, tickling my interest.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to see what's getting pushed back and what's not getting pushed back because of the strike and everything like that.
Agreed. I thought that I saw for fucking Scherzies that The Color Purple was being delayed a year, but I thought it was. I thought it was too, but I just went to the theaters and they're still running the trailer that says it's coming out in December, which I don't know why they would be doing that if it wasn't, but...
Yeah, that's strange. Like, as much as I understand and I want that bitches to do what is like works for them, for the actors and everything like that. I am so excited to see the new Hunger Games movie.
I thought you were gonna say Dune. I'm pissed about Dune, bro. I want to see the new Dune.
Yes and no. I don't know. I'll have to send you this TikTok I saw about how like it was
the Righteous Gemstones. It was literally a clip from the Righteous Gemstones. Yeah. And there was like, why does this feel like Dune? He was like, I would sacrifice my life for you, brother.
Exactly. Yeah, I sent you it. Yeah, I'm excited for Dune, but I mean, it's not. I'll see it in the theater this time because I didn't see it in the theater last time.
Well,
so I'm glad I can.
A year from now.
Yeah, I'm glad I can right my wrongs. But it's not the thing that's like holding me by the pussy. You know what I mean?
And are they delaying the Hunger Games one? I feel like
Not yet.
Like I saw that it was like The Color Purple, Dune, and like one other big one that they were like. The fact that they're delaying these means that they literally will be losing money. Like they could just pay the actors what they're asking. Yeah. And it would cost less than what they would like presumably make on these fucking films. Like it's wild. And they're asking, I mean, we've talked about this like almost every week now, but it's like the things that they're asking for in their demands are like fucking 15-minute breaks. Like it's like humane working conditions. It's fucking wild.
Yeah. But I don't know. I don't think that one's been delayed yet. So, and there was another one. Oh, the new Scorsese movie. I'm really excited for that.
And I'm not usually
that looks fucking crazy.
I'm not usually like that kind of bitch, but I feel
me neither.
Because we just came off of the high of Oppenheimer. I'm kind of like giving like more credit to those directors who I kind of think of as like film bro-y that I don't usually care about, that I'm like, oh, I shouldn't like write that off because like I actually do like a lot of that shit, you know? I like make fun of it, but I'm like, oh, I actually do like baseline like a lot of Martin Scorsese movies.
Yeah. Well, it's like, how can you not? It's not that I don't like the Martin Scorsese movies. It's like I don't like watching
the culture
people.
Around it.
I don't like watching people get on their knees and suck his dick. You know what I mean?
I love Martin Scorsese's daughter, Francesca. Her like online presence where she just like films her fucking dad and like Al Pacino like having spaghetti. She's like Tuesday night. Like I'm like I love that.
Brilliant. I just love that I get to see this little man living his life. He seems so happy.
Right? Just like get your bag, King. I guess.
Real. So do we want to get into our regularly scheduled program?
Yeah, so I guess just by myself, I'll play Fuck, Marry, Kill with, I'm going to say that even though they're like the souls of teenagers inhabiting the bodies of adults, that's theoretically speaking that these are their own separate characters because they're like video game avatars. So I'm basically just going to base it off of that. And I feel like I'm going to marry Jack Black. Obviously, I'm probably going to fuck Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and I'm gonna kill Kevin Hart.
Smart.
I don't know what it is about him. I do not think he's funny.
No, he's not. He's not funny.
He kind of. I was like trying to see.
He was funny when you were 12 years old.
No, not even though. Like I just really feel like I've never really like. I don't know. He does not tickle me.
No, not. I agree with you there. Who did I had? What was it? I could play with Alan, Sarah, and then I guess the cop, because he's like, he's got this weird like,
the arc about the Air Jordans that get ruined.
Yeah, basically. I'm gonna kill him because he sold out and decided to be a cop. What?
I feel like he got like fired from his job.
You know what you can do though? Get another job and still not be a cop.
That's so true. Honestly, so true.
So I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna fuck Sarah, and then I'm gonna marry Alan.
Because he's been in that jungle.
Yeah, exactly. I want to know I want to know who he is as a person after that.
Like, he is gonna return to his 10-year-old body with the memories of a 30-year-old man. So by the time he's 30 again, he's gonna have the wisdom of like a 60-year-old.
Yeah. Like, that's not a guy, that's like a philosopher at that point. You know what I mean? That's the next, I don't even know.
You're like, babe, put on the banana leaves, please, for me. Can you put on the loincloth, please?
Maybe it's that kind of night.
I'll chomp like an alligator. I know how you love that.
Not too much teeth, but just a little bit.
Making like an elephant noise, like.
I'm pretty good at that, actually. I can do it.
That was really good.
Thank you.
Good.
What? Do you have an animal noise that you can do really well? Because I feel like everyone's got one that like is their staple, and I'd say that's mine.
I do. A visual accompaniment is very important. So anyone who's on the Patreon and watching this deep into our lame fucking Jumanji episode, our disjointed Jumanji episode, will see that I do a really good goat impression. That it's both visual and audio.
That one is really good.
It's like very Billy Goat.
Yeah.
Which is not hard. You just suck in your top lip with your tongue between your teeth, and then you let your bottom lip just like hang loose, and then you sort of just gutturally do a goat noise.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like knowing what everyone's is. Like, the one person that I'll say had a really good one is we went to this person's like high school with this person who did the most insane dolphin noise I've ever heard in my life.
Mm-hmm. I also, when I'm a little drunk and feeling like I'm gonna be a menace, I will just scream like an ape, which isn't impressive. You just go like 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 my neighbors hate me right now, but anyone can do it. You just really get, and you go and then you just scream, and it's a very cathartic. It's quite fun. But
that was really good.
After too many drinks, I go ape mode. Like,
oh my god! All right, so you're 3 drinks in. You have friends over. You're about to hit ape mode. But before that, you have to serve them food and a drink.
My answers are so lame. For this lame episode, I have lame answers. I said, those frosted animal crackers?
Oh, I fucking love those.
The pink and white ones. I haven't had one in maybe a decade. But why do I feel like
you should?
Why do I feel like if I had one, it would change me? But also, I don't want to, because I don't want to know. Because like, if I have one and it's bad, I don't want to know.
No, I promise they hold up. They hold up.
What are they? They're called like circus. They're called like circus crackers or something.
Yeah.
Right?
I think the last time I had some was like, you know when you're in college and you just have like enough money left over at the end, like on your like little card that you just start buying shit.
I never had a meal plan in my life.
Okay,
I never went to real college. Yeah,
anyone that has a meal plan would know. So I ended up spending like fucking. Dude, they jacked the prices up at like the little store we had on campus so hard. So I paid like fucking $13 for a bag of those things or whatever. Worth it. Absolutely worth it.
Wow.
They still slap.
Well, I felt like for Jumanji, having some nice animal crackers would really feel appropriate.
I like that.
And then mine is like heavily based in the jungle, so super lame. I just said you do a tiki cocktail, you do like a rum and pineapple, like a rum pineapple punch. Just a nice heavy, you get both the dark and the light rum in there. 2 kinds of rum mixed with, some pineapple juice, maybe some grenadine. Get a little, like, orgeat in there if you're feeling fancy, but you don't need to be doing all that Mai Tai shit. You can definitely just do, like, rum and pineapple juice, and it's gonna hit. And it's gonna just feel right, You can feel the humidity emitting off of the screen.
Smart. So I'm gonna do 2 things on, like, opposite ends of a spectrum. Because this was, like I said before, this was the movie of my childhood. So if you want to go real basic with it, I'm going to give you the drink that I really liked as a child. And it's the orange high C.
I always hated that because
Are you serious?
I was an OJ bitch, and like I just loved like regular orange juice. That I felt like anything like Sunny D, high C, any like alternative orange drink, I was like, fuck that. It's not Tropicana.
Oh, no, the orange one was so good. That's what you get like at McDonald's before you like drinking Sprite, and then you like upgrade to like the McDonald's Sprite. So I'd say you could do that if you want to like keep it like PG. But you just brought up you were talking tiki drinks, and I just thought of there's a drink called the Jungle Cat.
Ooh,
which sounds really good. Gin, orange aperitif. I don't know how the fuck you say it. Aperitif. Pineapple juice, lime juice, and a little bit of maple syrup.
Maple syrup. Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, for sweetener.
That's what I put in my coffee.
Yeah, that's nice. But I'm gonna tell you specifically to eat the thing that I would remember like eating around this time when I was watching this, like at daycare, which was hot dog and mac and cheese.
Ooh, cut up.
Yeah, the cut up hot dog, the mac and cheese. Okay.
Octopus?
No, not octopus. I did love the octopus though. Did you ever put like any ketchup in your mac and cheese?
I never fucked with that shit, but I think my little brother did. I was never
Loved
like
it.
a huge, like I would do ketchup with like normal shit like chicken nuggets and fries and stuff.
But
the people who would smother all of their food in ketchup like in grade school, I would like look at that and I would go throw up. Like I had such a visceral reaction to like excessive amounts of sauce as a child that anyone who was just like lathering their shit in fucking ketchup, I was like, bleh.
Well, that's so interesting because I feel like it's a kid thing to like be really like sauced up and everything like that. But you're not really a sauce guy. You don't even like mustard or anything like that is not for you. Were you a big ranch kid?
I was a ranch kid. I was gonna say I'm more sauced up as an adult, but as a child, I definitely I was not into. I also like I had a lot of food texture issues. I did not like my food to touch each other. So like two different textured foods like colliding was like not chill with me.
So would you ever put the hot dog in the mac and cheese though?
I would. I preferred it as the octopus, so then I could like eat the hot dog as one unit. It was more of a decoration. But the hot dog in the mac and cheese, I felt that was also kind of like SpaghettiOs. Like SpaghettiOs sometimes came with the hot dog in it. I don't know. That was less of a... Because it's all kind of one thing.
Yeah. But, what... After this fuck-ass meal, what are you gonna watch?
So my first and foremost suggestion would be Zathura. I think that movie has... I would rate that on my like nostalgia scale like far above any of these. Like that was my Jumanji, I think.
Yeah.
Kristen Stewart, like, are you kidding? Getting Frozen, like wild. But I loved the Zathura movie growing up. But then pivoting, because these two like teen characters in their hot alternative like bodies are like they're like we're all horned up because we're Karen Gillan and The Rock and like we want to fuck, but like we're in our avatar bodies, so we feel like weird about it. The whole plot of the second movie is basically that Alex Wolff is like, I don't feel sexy as myself anymore, or like I don't feel like cool as myself, so he goes back just like of his own volition because he wants to be The Rock again, and he ends up becoming Aquafina instead. He like fucks it up, but so he's like, I want to be like I want my dick to be huge again, and he just like ends up being Aquafina. But I feel like this whole similar of like fucking in a video game because of like the Avatar situation. I don't know if you know this one episode of Black Mirror.
Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's season 5, so it's kind of after Black Mirror starts getting a little stale, in my opinion. I think there were some real...
This is a good episode, though.
But there's some... So I think seasons 1 through 3 are immaculate. I think season 4 has its pick-me's of like highs and lows, and then after that, I just think Black Mirror becomes so like, oh, we're critiquing the fucking modern state. I'm like, there's only like shut the fuck up. Like, I don't know. A lot of it just feels a lot really repetitive to me. Yeah. But with that being said, it's a great show and I love it a lot. And there's this great episode in season 5 called Striking Vipers with Anthony Mackie and somebody else, and they play these like two VR headset bros who like have wives, but they go into this game and like with full body haptic technology in the future, they like fuck in the video game as like basically like Mortal Kombat characters, and then they like cannot get hard for their wives in real life because they're like, you don't look like a Mortal Kombat bitch. Like, I'm sorry, but like I'm gonna go fuck my homie. And then they're like, is it gay? And the whole premise of the episode is they're like, oh my god, are we gay? But like one of them is like VRing in as a girl character, so they're like, no, it's not gay. And then they like kiss in real life to like see if it feels gay. And just I just think that that's such a funny, like, rabbit hole to go down, because that's exactly what I think about when they say, like, new VR technology with, like, full body haptics. I'm like, oh, so we're all gonna get in there and fuck. So we're all gonna get in there and, like, have sex with a Pokemon. Like, that's what's gonna happen. That episode of Black Mirror was one of the, like, later ones that the concept, like, the critique on the social, you know, technology status was, like, I guess it just kind of hit me in a place that I kind of also thought about, but just the whole concept of, like, is it gay to fuck your homie in the VR space?
In Mortal Kombat?
It was just so silly to me. But then ultimately, I'm just going to drag this out, a third suggestion of a video game movie that I just, like, actually really enjoyed is Hardcore Henry. Not just because my husband's name is Henry, but it's this movie called Hardcore Henry. It's based off of a video game, and the entire movie is filmed in first-person POV. So you are the, like, video game protagonist, and it feels like a video game, and it's this whole movie shot, like, from first person of you as, you know, Hardcore Henry, the character. So it's just really interesting. I saw it in theaters, so I might be skewed of my opinion of it, because I think I've only seen it that one time when I saw it in the theaters, but it really hit me of, like, what a unique, interesting take on a video game movie that is still just so taking one fundamental part of video games, which is, like, the first person thing, right? And just applying that to film. I just thought that was incredibly interesting and so fun to watch. So as far as, like, video game movies, I really fucked with that one. What about you?
That sounds dope. I'm just gonna tell you to jump from one thing where Robin Williams is in a loincloth to then another thing that Robin Williams is in a loincloth. I'm gonna tell you to watch Hook.
Oh, so good.
Which, again, is another, like, Robin Williams in a young, like, as a older person in a, like, a young kid's body kind of thing, you know what I mean?
That movie had me horned up as a child.
Yeah, as it should.
Rufio?
Yeah.
Do you know who that is?
That's your man. That's your man, Prince Zuko.
That's Prince Zuko. That's my day one.
I was gonna say, that's your childhood husband. But yeah, no, I just really like that movie, and as much as, like, this movie is kind of, like, set where the jungle comes to you, that movie is very much, like, the opposite, and you're kind of, like, immersed in that jungle.
Well, I'll have to go watch Jumanji. You've sold me.
Please.
I probably should. It's one of those, like, I think there's a lot of Steven Spielberg movies that I'm, like, haven't seen and I'm embarrassed to admit. Like Jurassic Park. Like, there's a lot of, like, big staple, I don't know, like, classic films, and I feel like I lump Jumanji in there with, like, I just, like, morally should probably give that a check out, you know?
Yeah. I'd say it's worth it. I just think it's one of those ones that I can see you really enjoying. And it's very, like, crunchy 90s, which is nice.
Well, I had to watch Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle.
I guess what I'm gonna have, maybe next week we just inverse and we actually talk about
Please, for the love of God, no. Jumanji 2. Jumanji, if you will. I had to watch that. I watched it on the train today, and I was so nervous that the people behind me were like, does this bitch think she's on a Delta flight? Like, why is she fully laptop out watching a movie? Like, it is such an in-flight movie. Like, why else would I be watching like the modern remake of Jumanji if it wasn't just, like, of a situational pressure? Well, anyways, thank you all so much for listening. Next week, we'll just be reading off Am I the Asshole posts. We're just gonna take this podcast where it goes. But we're going to continue with Game Month. We're also going to try to do a bonus episode on the Patreon this month. We did one where we just kind of shot this shit and talked about what sort of movies, TV shows, music we've been listening to lately. Just casual friendship convo type shit. Parasocial relationships. You can have one with us. I don't mind.
Yeah.
But we're also going to try to do one this month for another game movie. But Game Movie Month is not over yet. So next week we will be coming at you with another game-themed movie. And we love you all. Thank you so much for listening, despite the lack of continuity this week. And goodbye and good night. For those of you who listen all the way to the end, here is the real in-time audio clip of Emily and I realizing that we had not watched the same movie. What's even a Jumanji reference to usher Jen in? I don't even know what to say.
You just go around screaming "Mom, Dad" throughout your house because you haven't seen them for 26 years.
You watched the 2017 Jumanji, right? Did you watch the 1995 Jumanji?
I watched the 1995 Jumanji.
What did you think me sending that picture of Nick Jonas to you on the train was?
I had no idea. When you just said Jumanji, I just thought you meant like Jumanji.
No. Okay, we're still gonna do the episode and it's gonna be really funny. Okay.
Oh, this is actually really funny. This is going to be really funny. Well, this is a first.